Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all doing very well. So yes, we finally got the list of nominations for the 2024 Golden Globes earlier today. Today we're going to be diving into the TV show categories, and let me tell you right now that it is not good. That it's kind of abysmal because yet again these voters have only watched 5 shows the entire year, and they have just split the nominees amongst these 5 shows time and time again. That's literally all that it is. That's literally all that I'm seeing. But we are going to go through, all of these nominees in this video. So if that sounds good to you, and if you enjoy my awards season coverage, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, especially because it is a very special time here at Jean's Movie Chat, as we are mere days away from the award show of the season, and that is the Genie Awards. Yes, the Genie Awards are fast approaching, and so you don't want to miss it. Be sure to subscribe and turn on your notifications so that you know when they drop. But before then, we need to get through these nominees for the Golden Globes. So now without further ado, let's dive into these nominations, shall we? So first up in the TV categories, we have Best Actress in a TV Series Drama, and here the nominees are Bella Ramsey for The Last of Us, Emma Stone for The Curse, Helen Mirren for 1923, Imelda Staunton for The Crown, Kerry Russell for The Diplomat, and Sarah Snook for Succession. Now this category is really disappointing to me for the most part because it's populated by a couple of actresses who are only there because they're famous award-winning actresses doing television. Like, shock and horror, they're slumming it on TV. They're slumming it on TV, and so of course they deserve to be recognized for their work, right? And I think you have Helen Mirren falling under this category and Emma Stone as well. Now, to be fair, I haven't seen the shows that they appear in. Yes, I know, write down in the comments, she's a fraud, she hasn't seen them, she's just talking out of her neck. Okay, fine. But I have been covering these awards for the last 4 years, and I've been paying attention to them for even longer, so I see the pattern. Like, I know what's up. And there's a reason why these actors always show up on these nominations lists. It's because they're part of the group, especially the white ones. They're part of the group, and when you're part of the group, you're always going to be recognized for any old thing that you do. We'll see more of this later down the line as we go on, but this is just 2 perfect examples right off the bat in the very first category. And then next up we have Imelda Staunton for The Crown, and she's here not because she's like an award-winning actress who has lots of accolades or anything, but because she's the latest of a line of actresses who have taken on a role that has become award-winning and has lots of accolades and etc. and so forth. I think she's kind of continuing on that legacy for The Crown and, you know, the Queen Elizabeth II's portrayal in that show, and that's why she's here. Not necessarily because she gave the best performance of the year or anything like that, but just because it's The Crown and she's playing Queen Elizabeth, and so she has the automatic right to be nominated for a Golden Globe. Unfortunately, despite the fact that Imelda did go to my secondary school, I don't really think that she was the best Queen Elizabeth that we have gotten. In fact, I think she was kind of the worst, so I don't think she deserves to be on this list, if I'm being honest. But I'm still not surprised to see her there because it's The Crown, and the Golden Globes love The Crown. Even though this is supposed to be a whole different organization, like the Hollywood Foreign Press Association just does not even deal with the Golden Globes anymore. So like, we're supposed to have changed, we're supposed to be different, and yet I'm just seeing more of the same. Isn't that interesting? Did anything actually change when it came to the Golden Globes, or was it just bought out by a hedge fund and they just called it a day? Just like shuffled some things around, put in a couple of blacks, put in a couple of Negroes, okay, and just called it a day? Because I'm seeing the same old here. I'm not seeing any evidence of any real shift, of any real change, and so I'm left thinking, what was the point really? Now, when it comes to some actual standout performances, I would say Bella Ramsey, Kerry Russell, and Sarah Snook absolutely deserve to be here on this list. Bella Ramsey was absolutely brilliant in The Last of Us. Like, that is just such a breakout role for her. She was absolutely phenomenal on that show. She literally carried the show for a couple of episodes near the end there. So she really just killed it, nailed it there. Then we have Kerry Russell in The Diplomat. I really enjoyed The Diplomat. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. And I was happy to see it here. Like, finally, Netflix woke up and realized that it had some good content, because when it came to the film categories, they completely forgot about Rustin or they cloned Tyrone. But here we have Netflix waking up and promoting The Diplomat, and rightfully so, because it's actually a phenomenal series and I can't wait for season 2. But ultimately, none of this matters, because there is one person and one person only who should take this one home, and that is Sarah Snook for the final season of Succession. Yeah, that would be fair and square. I'm advocating for her. I think she should win, and I think she likely will win, but we shall see, because the Golden Globes, all of these awards love pissing me off, so we'll see what happens. But if she doesn't win, just know it's a personal matter. Just know it's a slight against me. Me personally, because there's no other explanation. After the magic that she conjured in the last season of Succession, Sarah Snook should absolutely go home holding that award, and if she doesn't, it's a slight against me personally. Okay, so next up on the list we have Best Actor in a TV Drama, and here the nominees are Brian Cox for Succession, Dominic West for The Crown, Gary Oldman for Slow Horses, Jeremy Strong for Succession, Kieran Culkin for Succession, and Pedro Pascal for The Last of Us. So yes, this is dominated by the Succession boys, and they tend to dominate these kinds of categories. Really, it's the same thing with the Emmys as well. I listen, I don't envy the voters when it comes to this, because I have no idea who I would pick either. Like, I don't know, me personally. I can't remember if Brian Cox has already won a Golden Globe for Succession. If he hasn't, then I would be tempted to give it to him as like a legacy thing, as like, well done, you did that. You did that for what, like 6 years or whatever, and you absolutely deserve this. Although Jeremy Strong also would deserve it. I mean, it's just such a strong such a strong cast. But I would say out of the 3 Succession boys, Kieran Culkin gave the strongest and most like nuanced and crazy performance in the final season of the show. Like, to me, he just had these moments where he was on top of the world, and then he was just brought down, not just one peg, not just several pegs, but down to the gutter. Like, literally down to the gutter, sniveling, desperate, pathetic little boy who's desperate for mummy's attention. Like, the nuances in that character are just so brilliant, and Kieran Culkin just kills every single layer of it. That, in my opinion, for the final season of the show, for rewarding the best performance of the final season, I would say that it's Kieran's to take home. But if this is more of like a legacy thing, like you did a great job, you know, portraying this character throughout the years, then it's anyone's game, because all 3 of them did exactly that. So I have no idea who they would reward in that case. And then when it comes to the others, we have Dominic West for The Crown. Remember what I said about The Crown and the Golden Globes loving The Crown, and Dominic West portrayed Prince Charles, and you know, it's part of a legacy. Remember that? Yeah, just apply all of that, okay, to what I said before. And then we have Gary Oldman for Slow Horses. I have seen the first season of Slow Horses. Apparently I'm 2 seasons behind, because there are now 3. There are inexplicably 3 seasons of this very mid show that I was largely bored by, and the only thing that saved it for me was the finale. But even then I was like, no, I give up. Literally, no, I cannot do this. I'm not watching another season of this. But it doesn't just have 1 more season, it has 2, which is crazy to me. So Apple TV Plus has money to burn, clearly. And I also suspect that this is renewed because of Gary Oldman, because he's like the Oscar-winning actor who's slumming it on TV. And when I say slumming it, I really do mean slumming it. Have you seen what Gary Oldman looks like on this show? Like, he's supposed to look like that. He's supposed to look kind of grotesque. Okay, he looks slimy. He looks like he doesn't wash his hair. So yeah, he's slumming it on TV. He does a good job, but I wouldn't say he's like one of the best performances of the year. I mean, he's standing next to Brian Cox and Jeremy Strong and Kieran Cock. Like, I've seen Slow Horses. You can't fool me. I've seen Slow Horses. I've actually seen The Thing this time, and it's not even on the same level. So this is what I'm talking about when I say that the Golden Globes and awards like this like to award the Oscar-winning actors who slum it on television, even if their performances aren't the best of their kind. And then, of course, we have Pedro Pascal, who should be given a separate award for Man of 2023 because he was kind of iconic for that. Like, he had an iconic run this year. Okay, I recently watched that short film that he had with Ethan Hawke, which was very melodramatic, very hilarious, but also kind of sweet in some ways and gross in others. But yeah, like, Pedro Pascal is that guy, and I think he should get an award for being that guy. But I don't think he should get the Golden Globe for Best Actor in this category because it's already very competitive. So then next up we have Best Supporting Actress in a TV series, and that combines drama and musical/comedy. And here the nominees are Abby Elliott in The Bear, Billie Eilish for Swarm, Christina Ricci for Yellow Jackets, Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown, Hannah Waddingham for Ted Lasso, J. Smith Cameron for Succession, and Meryl Streep for Only Murders in the Building. You know what I'm gonna say. You know what I'm gonna say. Well, there's a couple of things I'm gonna say. But first one up, Meryl Streep. You see the ongoing theme that I was talking about? Yeah. I finally got round to watching Only Murders in the Building season 3. This is one of the shows that like other people love and I just like. Like I like it. It's fine. Especially season 3. It took me a while to finally dive in and just finish the thing. And when I was done, like, I was happy. Like, I was, you know, like, satisfied. But it was a huge ordeal to get me to sit through the first few episodes of that show. But yeah, Meryl Streep, you know, she was acting. Like, she was like, she, you know, yeah, for sure. She was on the show. She was, and she's an Oscar win. Oh, slumming it on TV. Can you imagine? So yeah, of course she's on here. That's why you get Meryl Streep in the first place. Duh. That's why she does it in the first place. Of course she's on here. The most predictable thing ever. I would have liked to see the Abbott Elementary crew pop up. They seem to have been largely ignored this year. But Janelle James is so phenomenal on that show, and she was largely overshadowed by Cheryl Lee Ralph in previous years. So I would have liked to see her get nominated and hopefully win, because I think she's actually the funniest person on the show and she should be rewarded for her comedic talents in a comedic show. But that's just me, I guess. Let's give it to Hannah Waddingham for season 3 of Ted Lasso, where she just did the same thing that she did for the last 2 seasons, whatever. Fine. Then you have J. Smith Cameron representing Succession in this category, and she's always been great as Jerry from Succession. Like, she's always been phenomenal, so I'm glad to see her. That's a standout performance to me. Like, that is genuinely a great performance. I can't remember if this season was really her time to shine. I think it was more last season, but again, if you're doing a legacy thing for all of the Succession cast, first of all, that's cheating. That's not how it's supposed to go, but fine, at least you have Jerry in that. Next up, we have Abby Elliott in The Bear, and you guys know there's one thing that Jean is a fan of. Actually, I mentioned in my film nominees reaction that I am the biggest fan in the world of 2 things, Cillian Murphy and the Spider-Verse films, and let's make that 3 things. Let's make that 3 things, because the third thing is The Bear. Okay, the third thing that I absolutely root for, that I am ride or die for, is The Bear. So anytime I see The Bear on this list, I'm gonna have a massive smile on my face. And especially for Abby Elliott and her work in the 2nd season of the show. You want to talk about that Christmas? You want to talk? Oh, you know if you watched The Bear, okay, she was doing some actoring in season 2. So yeah, Abby absolutely deserves to be here on this list, and I'm glad to see that she wasn't lost in the sauce. But then next up, we need to discuss Billie Eilish for Swarm. Now, I'm a big Billie Eilish fan. I love Billie. Oh my god, I'm a bad guy. I'm generally a fan of Billie Eilish's music, and I did see Swarm, and I think she was really, really great in that episode that she was in. But she was only in one episode. This is like fraud. This is fraudulent as hell. Like, This is the kind of stuff that kind of makes me want to quit. I was running to quit in my last video. I'm this close to quitting again. Because why is Billie Eilish here for Swarm and not Dominique Fishback? Why is Billie Eilish here for Swarm and not Dominique Fishback, the star of that limited series? Like, what is going on? What is happening here? How does that make sense? How does it make sense that you would nominate Billie Eilish and not Dominique Fishback? You see why I say racism? You see why I say Hollywood is broken and busted and ruined? Because that literally doesn't make any like that's incomprehensible, guys. It's, if you have watched Swarm, you will know that this is an injustice beyond imagination. Dominique Fishback should absolutely be on this nominees list, and the fact that she isn't is abysmal. But unfortunately, it's on theme, because despite the fact that the Golden Globes have been trying to push for diversity and inclusivity lip service, there are fewer people of color in this nominees list than ever before. The Golden Globes nominees have not been this pale in a while. Like, it is pasty. It is literally so Caucasian up in here. So the idea that they sprinkled in a few colors, okay, to make up for the controversies of a couple of years ago is laughable, because this is the result. This is the hardest that you tried. And the only person that you nominated from Swarm, the series created by Donald Glover, starring Dominique Fishback, was Billie Eilish. You want to run that by me again? Anyways, guys, let's cut to the chase here. Who do I think should win Best Supporting Actress? I think it should be Elizabeth Debicki for The Crown. Yeah, I mean, if you've watched my The Crown season 6 review, then you know she is it. She was Princess Diana. Like, she was possessed by Princess Diana. Like, she was just phenomenal in the first part of the final season of that show. Okay, so next up we have the Best Supporting Actors in a TV Series, and here the nominees are Alan Ruck for Succession, Alexander Skarsgård for Succession, Billy Crudup for The Morning Show, Eben Moss-Backrack for The Bear, James Marsden for Jury Duty, and Matthew McFadyen for Succession. So again, very populated by the Succession boys. But unlike the lead actor category, I would say that out of the Succession boys here, there is a very clear frontrunner, and that is Matthew McFadyen. He's Tom Wambaskins is iconic, and Matthew McFadyen absolutely did that. Like, his performance in Succession is just phenomenal. And that ending, it took me days to recover from the ending of Succession. It was not a good time. It was not a good time. Touching on some of the other guys here, like I said, I'm always happy to see more of The Bear, and I think Eben Moss-Backrack is incredible, especially in season 2 of the show, where Richie has his own episode and goes through one of the most amazing character arcs I've ever seen portrayed on television. I kid you not. So I'm so happy to see him here on this list. It does annoy me that they always do this. They always, watch 5 things and then nominate everyone from those same 5 things. But in the case of The Bear, like, the cast really is that good. Really is that brilliant, and so I'm really glad to see Eben on this list, like I said. But I think ultimately and interestingly, just like in the end of Succession season 4, spoiler alert, I do think that Matthew McFadyen is going to come out on top here, and Tom Wambaskins is going to end up with the award in his hands. Okay, so next up we have Best TV Series Drama, and here the nominees are 1923, Succession, The Crown, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, and The Morning Show. So again, I'm a little bit disappointed by this list because it's just so much of the same old that we always see. Good on The Diplomat for sneaking in there as a brand new series by Netflix, although Netflix didn't have the strongest presence this time around. The HBO show is definitely dominated here. We do have one entry from Apple TV Plus with The Morning Show. And listen, over the years, I've made fun of The Morning Show. And I've been like, who watches this series? Blah, blah, blah blah. But each year, without exception, I always get at least one comment from you guys saying, I watched the morning show, Jean, I love that series. And so respect, I'm going to give it the respect that it's due and say, listen, the morning show has its fans and Apple TV Plus has money to burn, and so they'll continue promoting this film until it dies. And considering how much money Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston are making from this series, I don't think it's going to be dying anytime soon. So those of you who are fans of this show, I hope you're continuing to enjoy it. And yeah, good on it for popping up on these lists year after year. And then next up, of course, we have The Crown, which is another staple, also by Netflix. And The Crown to me is just so many levels above many of the other TV shows out there in this huge landscape that I do forgive it when it comes to constantly popping up in these award shows, because it really is like that good. Like it really is just so far above the rest. And of course, let's not forget that we are on the final season of the show, so this is the last chance that the Golden Globes gets to nominate it for everything. And I'm sure they're very heartbroken. I'm sure they are sobbing, okay? And so am I, to be honest, because I really do love this series, even though not all of the seasons are perfect. So yeah, I do think it deserves to be on here. Same thing with The Last of Us, which is just the very best ever video game adaptation that we have ever seen come out of Hollywood, and a damn good show on its own apart from that as well. Then we have 1923, which I haven't seen. I'm not really into the Yellow Jackets world, but that is Paramount Plus's crown jewel, so I'm sure they pushed everything that they had into promoting those shows. But out of this list, I think it's safe to say that Succession is likely going to take home the award. Ooh, I mean, The Crown also has a final season. But the final seasons of The Crown haven't gotten the same amount of praise as the earlier seasons, whereas Succession has consistently maintained a golden reputation. So I think it's likely to go to Succession. I think Succession is gonna take this one home, but we'll see. Maybe they'll surprise us and give it to The Last of Us. Who knows? Like maybe they'll shake things up a little bit. Please do. Otherwise, I'm not watching your ceremony. I'm not watching anyway. Okay, so next up, we're getting into the musical/comedy categories, and first one up we have is Best Actress in a TV Series, Musical or Comedy, and here the nominees are Ayo Edebiri for The Bear, Elle Fanning for The Great, Natasha Lyonne for Poker Face, Quinta Brunson for Abbott Elementary, Rachel Brosnahan for The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and Selena Gomez for Only Murders in the Building. Now here, I think we have a really good selection of performance. You see, this is what I want more of, Hollywood, okay? Like this is actually a really well-rounded representation of what comedy from Hollywood has had to offer in 2023. You have such a diverse range of comedic performances. Like Natasha Lyonne in Poker Face is nowhere near the same as, you know, Elle Fanning from The Great, who's very different to Quinta Brunson in Abbott Elementary. Like that, this is what I want to see more of. I want to get the sense that these voters actually watch something, and even if it wasn't their personal favorite show, they recognize that a performance in that thing is just so spectacular that it deserves to be spotlighted. It deserves to get some awards recognition. And I feel like that's what's been accomplished here for the most part. Like Poker Face hasn't really been represented a lot in this nominations list, but they saw that Natasha Lyonne's performance just really stood out. And it's the same with The Great as well. So I think this is a really good category, and well done for the Globes for getting that one thing right. Okay. Having said that though, having said all of that though, remember what I said about those 3 things that I'm a fan of? Yeah, it's going to Ayo. If I have anything to say about it, it's going to Ayo. Like give her the award. Don't be silly, don't be stupid, don't be crazy. Give her the award right here, right now. Don't waste time. Start engraving her name into the award, please. Now, you've already rewarded Quinta Brunson for her amazing work in Abbott Elementary, and Abbott Elementary is amazing. It's an amazing comedy series, one of the few sitcoms that we still have left that are actually good. So I'm always happy to see Abbott Elementary get a ton of awards and a ton of praise. But Abbott Elementary had its time to shine last year. So now that we're on this year, it's time for us to give the bear the credit that it's due. And next up we have Best Actor in a TV Series, Musical or Comedy. And here the nominees are Bill Hader for Barry, Jason Segel for Shrinking, Jason Sudeikis for Ted Lasso, Jeremy Allen White for The Bear, Martin Short for Only Murders in the Building, and Steve Martin for Only Murders in the Building. So again, we have some very familiar names here. I mean, the categories for the Emmys look pretty much identical to this, so like no surprises. When it comes to the Only Murders boys, I think they kind of cancel each other out, and so that's why they're often overlooked. I personally, I've never found them. Can I speak freely? Is this a safe space? I've never found them to be that funny. Oh, sorry. It's not my style of comedy, I'm afraid. I just don't find Martin Short or Steve Martin to be funny on that show. Like, I'm not cackling. I'm not gagorphing. Like, I'm not, I'm just like not, it's not that funny to me. It's just a different style of comedy that just, I'm not really tapped into, I'm afraid. But then you have Jason Sudeikis in Ted Lasso, and oof, how the mighty have fallen on that one. Like, how the mighty have fallen, because I loved season 1 of Ted Lasso, and I love season 2 of Ted Lasso. They were a smidge less than season 1, but season 3 just like jumped ship. Like season 3, Jason Sudeikis isn't giving a comedic performance in season 3. He's like depressed and tortured, and he's making these tough decisions about whether or not he should stay in England, and it's like it becomes a drama when it comes to his character. So yeah, even though I think it's obviously a very iconic and career defining role for him, I don't think he should be nominated for season 3 of the show, if I'm being honest. Like, the show just kind of went down a completely different route, and whilst there are some very funny people on that show that are amazing, I don't think that Jason Sudeikis' Ted Lasso was one of them for season 3. And speaking of whole new different directions, we have Bill Hader for Barry. I hated the final season of Barry. I hated the time jump. I just hated a lot of the decisions that were made in that final season. Like, I just really like the final season of Barry. I don't know what to tell you. Now, Bill Hader, you know, he does a good job. Like, his performance is great, as it always is. But like, I just dislike the show so much that, I mean, I'm acknowledging that he was good in it, but like, unfortunately, I can't give that final season my stamp of approval. But, you know, good for Bill Hader for popping on this list. Next, we have another Jason with Jason Segel, who was really great in Shrinking. Like, he was absolutely brilliant. And this character also had, you know, a lot of depression and anxiety, and he had gone through something horrible in losing his wife, and so he was trying to work things out whilst also raising his daughter on his own. So he also went through things, okay, on Shrinking. But unlike Jason Sudeikis, Jason Segel actually had quite a bit of comedic elements in his performance. So I think it made for a stronger comedic performance in the first season of Shrinking, and so I'm really glad to see him be nominated here. And also, speaking of Shrinking, I would have loved to see Jessica Williams and even Harrison Ford. Remember that old kid, Harrison Ford? I would have loved to see them both be nominated for Shrinking as well in their supporting roles, because they were brilliant on that show. But ultimately, when it comes to the best actor in a musical or comedy, we're going to give it to Jeremy Allen White for The Bear. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Now, here's the thing. I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking. Jean, you just said Jason Sudeikis' performance wasn't particularly comedic in Ted Lasso season 3. So what makes you think that Jeremy Allen White deserves to win for best performance in a comedy when his character is literally like he doesn't even crack a smile? Like, he literally does not even smile, this man, okay? To which I would say, leave me alone. Mind your business. I know The Bear is not a straight comedy, but there are some comedic moments. Like, if you just dig deep, Dig deep in there, you'll find the comedy in the disaster, in the chaos, in the madness. But still, it doesn't change the fact that Jeremy Allen White had the best performance in this list. Like, can we agree on that at least? Like, he absolutely deserves to win out of this lot. So either way, he's getting the gold. Like, either way, cry about it. Like, either way, he is getting the gold. Which brings us to Best TV Series, Musical or Comedy. And here the nominees are Abbott Elementary, Barry, Jury Duty, Only Murders in the Building, Ted Lasso, and The Bear. What do you think I'm gonna say? It's The Bear. It's The Bear. Remember, 3 things: Cillian Murphy, Spider-Verse, and The Bear. Oh, I'm losing my voice. But yeah, it's The Bear. Yeah. It's The Bear. Let's touch on some of these other ones. Abbott Elementary season 2, brilliant, perfect show, amazing sitcom, and I just love it. I love it with all my heart. But it doesn't. The Abbott Elementary is such a joyful, comfortable, and heartwarming watch. It's like coming home. It's like coming home for the holidays. But The Bear is like invigorating in other way. Like, it makes my blood boil. Like, it gives me anxiety, but also a feeling of euphoria. Like, The Bear is the only the only show this year that has made me feel. So yeah, it has to go to The Bear. Sorry, like, and I know what you're thinking, it's hardly a comedy. Guys, I'm telling you, there is comedy in the madness. There is comedy in the chaos. And then when it comes to Jury Duty, this was a surprise hit from Freevee. And before, we did see James Marsden be nominated for Best Supporting Actor, which I think he absolutely deserved. But when it comes to the show overall, I don't know, I was never really shook by Jury Duty. I know it was a massive hit, like a lot of people love it, but I never really found it to be like that funny or that amazing. I thought it was just a pretty cool mid-show with very ambiguous ethical questions surrounding it. For those of you who haven't seen Jury Duty, it's basically this kind of mockumentary style show where there is a trial going on and you have these jurors present, except they're all actors apart from one guy who is a real life guy who thought he was actually on jury duty, and he was pulled into this madness and chaos by these actors pretending to be jurors in this fake trial. And then it's revealed at the end that, you know, it's all fake and James Marsden is there, and yeah, it's like fun. It's fun. It just didn't blow my mind or anything. And then you have Only Murders in the Building. I've already talked about how that show, again, is fun but doesn't really blow my mind. Ted Lasso season 3. Ted Lasso season 3, man. I don't think it's going to be the final season of the show. Even if they have to rename it to Richmond FC or whatever, like, they need to bring it back. That can't be the final season of the show because it was so largely disappointing. So yeah, I didn't like the direction of the 3rd season of Ted Lasso, and I would have much rather another show be nominated here, like What We Do in the Shadows or Our Flag Means Death. Or there's like a ton of comedies out there. Come on, Golden Globes, can you watch something else? So then next up, we're diving into the limited series categories, and here we have Best Actor in a Limited Series or TV Movie, and the nominees are David Oyelowo for Lawman Bass Reeves, John Hamm for Fargo, Matt Bomer for Fellow Travellers, Sam Claflin for Daisy Jones and the Six, Stephen Yeun for Beef, and Woody Harrelson for White House Plumbers. It must go to Stephen Yeun for Beef. Yeah, that was pretty straightforward. Moving on. No, but seriously, Stephen Yeun in Beef, that church scene that he had, where he had that revelation, where he felt things, he felt emotions, okay? He allowed himself to feel things. Oh, he nailed his performance in Beef. And it's such a shame because Beef had that controversy surrounding it in real life that it kind of put this like sour taste beef, sour taste, whatever. Anyways, but they kind of put that sour taste in people's mouths when it came to the show, which is a shame because the series was really, really great and the performances were spectacular. But I still think Steven Yeun deserves, okay, recognition for his work on that show. And he also deserves recognition for his work on Invincible, but that's a separate that's a separate situation. So yeah, Steven Yeun absolutely killed it on Beef, and he has my vote. And not just because that's the only series in this list that I've actually watched. I promise you, it's not just because of that. So then next up we have Best Actress in a Limited Series or TV Movie. And here the nominees are Ali Wong for Beef, Brie Larson for Lessons in Chemistry, Elizabeth Olsen for Love and Death, Juno Temple for Fargo, Rachel Weisz for Dead Ringers, and Riley Keough for Daisy Jones and the Six. So here, I believe, is where we should have had Dominique Fishback for Swarm. Yeah, in this category right here. And actually, come to mention it, we should have also gotten Jarrell Jerome from I'm a Virgo in the previous category as well. Again, these nominees. Anyway, but when it comes to the actual nominees on the list, Ali Wong would have my votes. Yeah. Again, like, let's not waste time. We know what's we know what's good, okay? Ali Wong in Beef was spectacular. Absolutely amazing. And again, it's a shame about the whole controversy because we would have been able to celebrate her performance with no guilt. But unfortunately, that real life controversy did kind of cast a shadow on the show. But I do think that she was absolutely brilliant on Beef. And second of all, I would go with Brie Larson because it's the only other show that I've watched on this list. And I think Brie Larson was really, really good. She was really, really good in Lessons in Chemistry. If you haven't seen it, it's an Apple TV Plus limited series. That's just about this, young woman who wants to be a chemist, but it's the 1950s, so sexism with a dash of racism being explored, as well as there's this highway that wants to plow through a Black majority community. So yeah, it's a really cool show, and it's made with Apple TV Plus's staple excellent production value, so it's a joy to watch. I will say I was a little bit surprised by the turn that Lessons in Chemistry makes, kind of like halfway through or even a third of the way through, because it becomes more of a love story than I anticipated. I thought it'd be more about Brie Larson's character pursuing chemistry and a career in chemistry as a chemist, as a female chemist in the 1950s. But no, it's more of like a love story about, her and this male chemist that she falls in love with, and her journey to motherhood and all of that. So that was unexpected, but it was still an enjoyable series, just not quite as like groundbreaking as I thought it would be. Like, I thought it'd be the chemistry version of Julia from HBO, but it wasn't quite that, which took me in for a turn. And then finally, the last category that we're going to be going through is Best Limited Series or TV Movie. And here the nominees are All the Light We Cannot See, Beef, Daisy Jones and the Six, Fargo, Fellow Travelers, and Lessons in Chemistry. So Beef, right? Again, Beef. Out of this list, I have seen Beef and Lessons in Chemistry, so my opinion on this is not quite as weighted because I haven't seen most of it, but I would say Beef has a strong chance of winning here. I mean, it was the only limited series from this list that had like a cultural impact, that really had like a moment in 2023, and I think it certainly helps that it was an A24 production, okay, because it certainly stands out from the Netflix landscape, shall we say. And speaking of Netflix, by the way, I was somewhat disappointed to see Bodies not be nominated anywhere here. Bodies is a trip. Like, Bodies, if you haven't seen it, is a British, I think, limited series, although they may do a season 2. The series kind of crosses a whole bunch of timelines and genres. Like, it's just a a completely unique type of story that's told in Bodies. Very, very popular here in the UK, and I think in America as well. It charted pretty well. So I'm surprised that it didn't get any love, you know, in any of these categories. I would have replaced All the Lights We Cannot See with Bodies, me personally, because I think it was a really great show. But still, it kind of doesn't matter because Beef is likely going to take this one home, as it should in my opinion. So that's it from me, guys. Now that I told you guys my thoughts on the 2024 Golden Globe TV nominations, it's time for you guys to let me know what you thought of this nominees list down in the comments below. Looking at the time, the fact that this video is shorter than my first one, I might actually swap these around and post this video first because it's already 10 p.m. and I have work tomorrow. So we need to make this quick. But please be sure to subscribe to catch you videos coming up, including the fast approaching Genie Awards. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.